2021, four men got together to make a radio show that nobody asked for. This is the result.
Welcome to Broad Street Radio. I'm Michael Morris, sitting in with me, my good friend Bill Warren. Bill, how are you?
I'm wonderful. You're doing well?
I only say that for the show, because outside of the show, I'm not doing well. But while we're doing this, I want people to think that I'm enthusiastic about life and that everything's going well.
That's why I asked.
I am excited that Jonathan and Scott are not here this week. It's fantastic. We've sent them on assignment, and they will be back in the next week or two. But in the meantime, we didn't just go for sex appeal with Bill. We brought Kendra Carter in. Kendra, how are you? Get next to the microphone, love. There you go.
I'm so well today. How are you?
Good. So, Bill, the topic for today is
real estate. What's going on in this crazy real estate market right now?
And so we brought Kendra in because every week she inundates us with facts and figures that most of us are sleeping through. But Kendra, give us a little bit of, we're in the Columbus, Ohio area. So if somebody's watching this on YouTube, just know that we're really only talking about this area today. What is it that you're seeing? And then Bill has statistics, and then I'm going to just jump down your throat with bad things. So you go ahead, and what is it you're seeing in your experience right now?
I figured you would do that to me today. So obviously the real estate market is hot, right? Everybody and their brother and sister come at me every day like, how are you doing in the real estate market? And, you know, some agents out there are sweating a little bit, especially if you're representing buyers. It is a little bit harder to get homes right now. So the national average is around 27 days for homes to sit on the market. Okay. In Columbus, Ohio, do you have a guess? How many days on the market?
National's 27. I'm going to say 4.
I'm going to say 4.1.
Look, it's actually 4.7. Did you cheat?
No.
You cheated.
I'm just really damn smart.
This is a setup.
I'm smart.
But yeah.
No, you know better than that.
It's actually 4.7. So that means it's a seller's market. Agents right now, if you get a listing, it's not 100% that it's going to sell, but there's a very high chance that it's going to sell around that 4.7 days. Of course, if it's not a great house, it might sit on the market a little longer. You might see maybe one price drop, but for sellers, it's a very great market, and it's super competitive as well. Yeah. Let me throw another one at you since you have prepared. How many offers do you think the average home has on it?
Oh, let's ask Bill since he's the expert. He's prepared.
Say 7.
5.
5. All
5.
Right.
The average home.
I was going to say 5. Stupid.
The average great home has about 5 offers on it.
Wow.
And then one more fact for you. Right now, there's about 1,500 homes on the market. So generally speaking, that's like 2 weeks of inventory. So if no homes were listed tomorrow, we would be out of houses on the market in about 2 weeks.
Well, that kind of goes, Bill, we were doing our research before the show, and by that I mean he took notes and he told me. Bill, read off those statistics over the last, basically 30 years, right?
Yeah, this is actually from the Columbus Board of Realtors site.
Okay.
I pulled up some stats. In 95, the average, there were just shy of 15,000, 14,900 homes sold, average price of 118,000. Again, that's 95. In 2005, there were almost 28,000, so almost double the homes sold, and the average price went from 118 up to 177.9. So it's almost a 51% jump in 10 years. What was interesting, though, is when you go from 05 to 15, it went from 177.9 to 191.6. About the same number of houses sold, but it was only a 7.7% jump. And part of that had to do with the 08-09 crap storm that happened, right, with the economy. What was fascinating to me is it was 177.9 in 2005. The average price did not get back over that level until 2014. And so 14 to 15 was a good year. And then when you take a look at 2015 compared to last year, 2020, 5 years, it went from an average sale price of 191.6 to 265.8. So there's been almost a 39% increase. Our janitor showed up. About a 39% increase just in 5 years. And to me, what's fascinating is to see how it's fluctuated. And I'd like to get your feedback. You know, people talk about, you know, there's a bubble going to burst and all this stuff. And when you see what led up to 08, 09, when there was an economy hit, you saw things drop, and it took almost a decade for it to about 6-7 years for it to rebound and get back up. What are your thoughts? I mean, there's a lot. It's different today, but what are your thoughts about the housing prices today, and where do you think it may go? And are we, if I'm a buyer and I'm bidding over the asking price, which is what's the trend today, right? Am I exposing myself to a ton of risk? Do you feel? What are your thoughts? Just your take.
Those are great statistics. Thanks for doing my homework.
I got you.
And actually, the NAR has 297 is actually the average home sale price currently. But to your point, the psychology behind seller's market, are you going in with negative equity, offering over? What I tell my clients and my buyers and my sellers is a home only holds the value that you perceive it to have. For instance, I'm still looking for a house right now.
Yeah.
My husband and I purchased a home, what was it? 2018 or 20, what are we? We're 2021. We've almost lived there for 2 years.
Why did she look at you as though you knew when she built?
Because 2 years, I was trying to help with the math going backwards from 2021.
Like, we barely know you. We don't even know where you
still
live.
on COVID brain, man. This whole
what?
last year didn't even exist, it feels like at times. So.
You know what? Let's just go ahead and
like, you could have lied and said
call out the
2014. No
fact
one would
that-
have given a shit.
Yeah. You know, most of the people watching this aren't going to fact check that.
I have a 6-month-old at home, and I didn't sleep last night.
When did he buy his house?
It's new mommy brain too.
It's new mommy brain, haven't slept brain. But at any rate, I've been in a home for 2 years. We got it at a fantastic price. A mild fixer-upper, kitchen renovation, 2-bathroom updates, ceiling light fixtures, ceiling fans, and new windows. So it wasn't a gut job, but we got it at a great price. And in this market, even my husband and I are willing to rent for a minute because the market is so hot. Like, we want to take advantage of the market. And at the same time, I just told him the other day, I don't want to overpay for a house. And he said, well, you know, I'm comfortable offering asking price because that will hold its value for us, for our next home. So it's interesting. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
Like, a home is only worth what you're willing to pay for it.
Right.
And, you know, if you don't want to go up any higher, you know, in this market, there might be somebody that needs that house, that wants to come in 10, 20,000 over asking and is willing and able to cover that appraisal gap.
Yeah.
And pay for over what it might appraise. And, you know, at that point, when it comes to, is it going to hold its value? Is it still worth that? What if it's their dream house? Yeah, of course it's going to hold its value for them.
For them,
So,
yeah. Now the
right.
bank may differ on that, but to
Right.
your point, that's what's crazy to me right now is the amount of offers that I'm hearing about that are well over asking price, that people are showing up with a ton of cash to these things. You know, and it's funny, the other side of it, I've heard so many realtors say, this is the time to sell your home. And I had a buddy of mine say, yeah, if I have a cardboard box I can go live in. So to your point, you know, you can take advantage of the market right now, sell the home, take advantage of the money you've put into it, and go rent and kind of see where this thing goes. But I find it so fascinating the way things have just escalated. A friend of mine last year was going to sell his house, and they said he'd probably get $325 max. Today, he literally just listed at $389, and they expect to get $4 in a year. It's just staggering to me.
You bring up another good point, because I've had a few listing presentations with homeowners over the last few months, and you know, every once in a while you get that homeowner that maybe, let's say, purchased their house around 150, and they're looking at the market, and I'll ask them, you know, what do you think your house will sell for right now? And they'll be like, well, there was one 300 right up the street. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, so let's look back. And it's called, if you're not familiar in the real estate world, it's called a CMA, a comparable market analysis, where we look at a number of factors in your neighborhood. The lot size, is it a corner unit? Is it a cul-de-sac lot? What's the acreage compared to the rest of the street? What's the floor plan? There are more floor plans that are more desirable and less. For instance, a multi-level split is not as desirable as a 2-story, or a ranch is more value per square footage than, say, a bi-level split. So you look at all those factors, numbers of bathrooms to numbers of bedrooms, like a 4-bedroom, 1 bath. Let's say it has more square footage. If there's one with, like say 50 to 200 less square feet, but 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2.5 baths, that might go for more because it's more desirable. What family with 3 children is going to have a 4-bedroom, 1 bath?
Right.
So I forget what the question was, but in terms of selling right now, back to where do you go if you list your house? Kind of, you mentioned the cardboard box. The way to do it, and the way I have my buyers working with me right now, is it's a longer process than it maybe was a year and a half ago to 2 years ago. So instead of listing your house and finding a home in 30 days, maybe put some language in your contract that potentially you can rent back your home after you close. And then you'll have another 30, 60 to 90 days. 90 is a stretch. 60 is most common in terms of the rent back language, but give you a little bit of time to keep looking for a home.
That makes sense.
And, there's agents work differently. I've talked to a few folks. I had an open house in Marysville over the weekend. That was a hike from Grove City, by the way. But it was a beautiful home, and I only had 2 couples come through, but the one had put offers on 8 homes in a matter of 45 days. They were busy.
Yeah.
I've got buyers right now. Again, I'm trying to do math and think backwards in terms of months. Let's just say 3 months. And we've only offered on 2 homes. So, but they're really doing some nice market research. And they've got their list of things that are must-haves and things that they're willing to...
Kind of nice to haves, but flexible.
Yeah. And it's going to take a minute. It's just going to take a little bit longer than, again, a year and a half, 2 years ago. But that's my advice in terms of buying in this market. Start early, look around, shop around, and, don't get scared. I mean, for example, I just mentioned my husband and I, we found a house 2 weeks ago, and it had the checklist, and I sent it to him, and I was like, let's go look at it. And he's like, Kendra, it doesn't have a yard. And I'm like, but everything else. And he's like, no, stop being frantic. Take your own advice. Don't jump because of the market. Don't be frantic. Just chill and just keep looking.
But don't you think that that's what's happening right now? Is it's so hot because this is the same market. You go back to 2000, you go back to 2005 to 2007. People are putting themselves right back in the same situation they were because there's this fear of missing out on a property. These homes aren't going to be worth more than they are when you buy them today. There is no market where this appreciates more. Once people are buying, and like Bill's example of that house was, you said $325, then he's going to sell for $389, then $400. Well, he's ass upside down already. So that better be your dream home because all these, I'm going to exclude you because you're here, but all these realtors are saying, you got to jump in. You know why? Because my fucking commission check is huge. I don't care about you. I'm making one transaction and I'm moving on. This country doesn't learn from our previous lessons where we're buying something at a higher rate than it ever should be, but I got to have it now.
Yeah. Well, you made a comment about the inventory. I mean, now I know there's a lot of agents that are licensed but don't really practice much, but what is it, like 7,000, 8,000 agents in Central Ohio? How many homes on the market? You said 1,500? I mean, do the math there, right? And so not only is it their commission check, but they're afraid of missing out. When we were talking last week, you were telling me about the number of offers people have put in and lost because they weren't willing to pay higher over asking price. And to your point, I think it's you just got to be patient. If you're not patient, and that's what's happening, these people, we got to go. If you want this house, they amp that up because they want to be able to move that inventory. This is going to be a tough time to be a realtor.
I'm not blaming realtors, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm blaming the consumer.
Oh, I agree.
Because the consumer cannot stop themselves once they've got their pre-approval letter. They want in.
Yep.
It is not the realtor's fault that person literally can't stop themselves from making a purchase.
You're right.
So you both are hitting on, again, really great points because you're knowledgeable about the market, maybe more than some other people. I did get all jazzed up about FOMO, your fear of missing out, because I don't know. I just like that phrase. It makes me laugh.
It's real, though. I mean, it really is.
When it comes to real estate and the 8,000 agents, you're going to have your bad apples. You're going to have your bad apples that say, let's offer 15,000 over in a 20,000 appraisal gap and yada, yada. You're going to have your bad apples that don't educate their clients. I try to be an advocate for my clients in a sense that if I walk into a home and it's a bad home, I call it like it is. I was in several houses last weekend and, I have some investor clients and, some other clients that are downsizing. And anyway, we get into some situations where there are some bait homes out there. And they're listed between the 140 and 180, 195, maybe 195 is pushing it. But in this market, if something is in that bubble, you don't know what you're walking into. There's a house with one of the sets of the buyers that I have. And every time we go into a dog house, a real bad house, I'm like, oh dear. And I reference this other house. But I mean, on the MLS, it's the Realtor system we use, but it said charming ranch home, land, fenced. It made it appear that it was this just gorgeous little farm ranch. We walked in, and this was I think it was listed for 165, but we walked in, and before we walked in, there was like a 5-gallon drum sideways with a hose coming out of the back of the house. And we kind of looked at each other and we were like, what's that? And we thought maybe, because sometimes they'll have you can collect gutter water and filter it and filter your own water. Yep. And I was like, this house doesn't look like it's been occupied in a close enough time to where we are right now to have a filtration system outside the home. So as soon as we walk in, exposed water heater, AC, and some other appliances. We're still not sure what they were. And we're just looking up and I'm like, I'm so sorry for bringing you guys here. I mean, it was like a 50-minute drive. And I mean, I was mortified. I remember calling my team leader and just being like, they're going to fire me.
That's like a real estate catfish situation right there, right?
You're right.
I got catfished on the real estate side.
So you know what the drum was? It was the water source for the kitchen.
What?
Shit you not. It was the water source for the kitchen. I don't know how it worked. I mean, maybe it was some gravity pulley system. I have no idea. But
now I'm kind of interested in that house, and I'll pay $15,000 cash offer over because you got this cool ass thing.
I'm intrigued.
It's still listed. It's still available. I can take you.
We're gonna go. I'll take that 50-minute drive. Well, here's the other part is, so I call Kendra, or I'm texting her on a Saturday morning because a friend of mine. Why they're asking me, I have no idea. Now.
For how much research you guys did, I mean, I might call you.
Well, I did.
Kendra,
listen,
none of us have any idea why people call them and ask them questions.
Well,
but go ahead, Michael.
I had a real estate radio show for a couple of years. Ask me what I know about real estate. Dick. I had realtors on to feature them so they could teach people stuff. But over time, you just kind of learn this. So when she texts me the address and all that, and I look it up, I'm like, this can't be that good. So she's showing me pictures and there's a haunted Indian burial ground over here. And if you get on this app, there's all kinds of people getting stabbed. So I send it to Kendra and I'm like, what's this worth? Cause she's going to pay $15,000, $20,000 over asking for this thing. And then when she's going through it with me on the phone, I'm looking at this and literally there's a sewage dump on the other side of the street. So you can pay extra for this house cause it's so cute, or you could hold back and find the right place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You have to, and that's why I wasn't attacking you earlier. I just mean in general, I get it. We all get that, especially when you're getting paid for something. I'm doing my job so I can get a new car or something. But when I hear your situation, when that guy's getting $400,000 for a house at the bank, it says only worth $335. Consumers need to do their research because you're not going to be able to get out from under that.
100%. Well, the house will appraise higher today, right? So $325 a year ago, it'll probably appraise at $380, $390.
Well, here's my thing. What did you change in a 12-month period other than nothing? Nothing changed except the market exploded.
Yep.
What dictates markets? Bullshit.
And emotion.
Emotions, right? Yep. So this house sold, so I'm going to sell. So everything's going up and up and up. There's no rhyme or reason behind it. So the minute things start to cool, for no other reason than people bought houses already or they're set or whatever, school starts again, the market cooled off. Did the market cool off, or did people decide, I don't want to box my shit again and move it? Right. That's the difference in the market.
That's where I'm at. I don't want to box. Moving sucks.
But I want to get into this second piece of this, which, Kendra, I don't know, you might know about this. These black label firms that are buying properties now, if you look in Detroit and Los Angeles and some of these bigger areas, they're going in and they're doing cash offers for houses and buying entire neighborhoods. So the bubble won't burst if venture capital firms are buying into these places because they've got the money. So don't worry about it.
Can we time out and go back to my dream house?
Oh, yes, let's go back. As long as it's a dream house.
I wanted to take you back to
your dream house with no yard.
No, the one with the water filtration system. So remember, the computer said, the Google machine said, charming ranch, fenced in barn area for wildlife.
Catfish, go ahead.
Yes. So we walk in and there's no documents uploaded on the system. You can usually click and find the residential property disclosure, which tells you if the ceiling's caving in, if there's water in the basement, things like that. We walk in and I knew it. It was a packet on the kitchen, if that's what it was, counter. It was a 70-page home inspection. First page, foundation, needs restored. Essentially, in the first 3 pages, it said the house needed torn down. And I was like, and it upset me because from a listing agent perspective, they could have saved me and my buyers a lot of time by simply uploading that to the system. Because then not only did I get there and was livid, I was embarrassed for myself taking my clients there. And I mean, I looked my client straight in the face. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I thought they were going to fire me for taking them there, but I said, do not buy this house. And some of the bad apples out there might say, great investment opportunity, fenced in barn, whatever. But
so how much did you and your husband bid on that property after you told him that?
We did not.
Oh, okay.
We did not. But,
didn't have enough bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, I don't know if the
upstairs
water
bathroom is a bucket.
The water source was the same as the kitchen one. I'm not sure where the water was coming from for that, but I will touch on that. My husband is a house flipper, and he has not purchased a property in a year and a half. So for single investors, that is slowing a little bit. Yeah. And then segue back to your question, the LLCs in the big companies that are buying up homes and renting them out. You touched on something bigger that I personally haven't delved into, buying communities, but I will tell you, I've had 3 listings as of recently where multiple offers have come in cash, $15,000 to $25,000 over asking, no contingencies from companies. One was in Texas. The other one, I feel like, was out in like Washington or Oregon. And they're just like, I'm ready to buy this. Why are you laughing at me?
I love the way you were pointing like there was a map, because I'm watching your finger up in Canada.
I would put superimpose Oregon right over here.
Can we put a map? Just put it of like Ontario. It won't matter. No one's going to know. But this what I'm seeing is that if you look at when you have a dip where people they were out of work or couldn't go to work for a year and a half, the housing market didn't tumble. Now you don't have the banks where they're calling in your notes now because the forbearance got extended, all that.
Right.
The banks wanted to protect themselves. So that's what they're doing now. So they don't care who's got the check or the cash. Just bring it to me and buy this property. But if you look at how things are going, eventually in these bigger cities, the dream of having your own home is going to go away because you're still going to rent or lease from a company.
Well, aren't we Mr. Scrooge?
Yeah, he is.
Over here, son of a gun.
But you know, it's reality. I mean, I used to manage Detroit. Detroit's a very unique city. They've gone through a lot with the automotive industry, and there's pockets. You'll be driving, and you'll see like a pocket of literally a block that's abandoned, boarded up, and then literally right around the corner, you'll see a $300,000, $400,000 home. It's the weirdest dynamic there, but but I think you're going to see it more in some of those types of cities. I don't know that that'll ever be as big in Columbus, just because we're
a little bit more insulated. But the other thing with this. So again, you go back to 2000, 2001, and then 2007 to 8. Mm-hmm. When the housing market fell apart here, the builders disappeared.
Right.
They got out of here.
Yep.
What was being built were condos and apartments. We have more condos and apartments that are full of people that should be owning a home because they're paying as much to live in those communities as they would be to have a house.
Will you come work for me?
Listen, I can do this all day. I'm still going to wear shorts, but
all right.
My issue with it is that building for the sake of building to have places where people could live, that's the approach they took is we're not going to build new homes and new communities. We're going to just build places where you can throw your shit in here. Well, now we're in a situation that inventory is always low because they're not building new homes. You used to see new homes, especially from say 95 to 2001 was exploding. Yep. That might be changing a little bit, but there's only so much land. So up around the Delaware area, Polaris, they're building because there's nothing out there.
Well, there's like going south. You go south to Grove City. You go out like that down to Asheville and Commercial Point and some of those things. You're seeing a lot more building and communities out there. I'm not seeing near as much. I mean, you look around Grove City. Is there any housing?
Yeah, there's 6 developments that are coming up, and I might be undershooting it. I'm actually meeting with a developer next Monday to kind of get my claws in a little bit. Claws. That was aggressive. Get my hands.
I like the way you did that with your hands too.
I'm a visual person. Come on. I talk with my hands, but so there are plenty of developments coming, but the caveat is the inflation with the price of lumber. Yeah. So that's when it's no longer a matter of inventory available, but labor and cost of labor. So now there's more of a lottery system that we're seeing. You can buy your lot, but in order for you to build on it, you might still have to wait your turn. You might still have to wait for your ticket to be pulled.
They've got to be able to get the lumber.
Yep. Jesus, right. How negative. And as always on the show, we always end on a negative.
No, Kendra, it's not a negative. No, wait. Let me bring it back to Bill's appraisal because to your point, there are a lot of homes coming on the market that are, maybe going for $100,000 over what they were last closed for maybe 4 years ago, and they are appraising. They're still appraising. Yeah. So the value is going up. And it's funny because I know in a couple episodes you guys have touched on, the economy and inflation and things like that. But the values are going up a little bit. And in terms of a bubble bursting, it's not in sight right now. Interest rates are still low. And it'll happen when it happens. But I mean, as far as like on the horizon, can't see it. What? The horizon?
Oh, I thought those are binoculars.
No,
I thought
it was
she was trying to shield the light.
Okay, on that note,
the reflection coming off my 5 head, it's more than a 4 head.
On that note, we do have to end the show, binoculars. You've been listening to Broad Street Radio. Kendra, thank you for being here. Billy, as always, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining
guys.
us.